But speaking of
My
which,
list.
man,
Put it on the list.
I was
I'm gonna
listening
just
to
put
the
it out
Chronic
there.
earlier today, and I was listening to these nuts, and I'm sitting there thinking, man, if Puffy got what he wanted and really got Dr. Dre, man, what you gonna play after these nuts, man? If Dre even played that, because he probably wouldn't, but that beat's crazy.
So I think that's the best beat on the Chronic.
I thought I was tripping. I agree with you. Like, what I listened
No,
to it like 2 times in a row. I'm sitting here riding down the highway. I'm like, this shit is crazy.
Mike, when I was a kid on Memorial Drive and the Chronic came out and I heard that beat for the first time, Mike, like that beat to me, like that's the beat that symbolizes what the whole gangster rap sounds
Exactly.
like.
Yeah, now for
Like
real.
that's people like what does gangster rap sound? Play these nuts off the Chronic, please.
I mean, because
Like
that's the
that's
first
what it
beat you
sounds
hear
like.
before G Thing comes on the video. You know what I'm saying? They're playing that when they pull up.
There's a reason, Mike.
There's a
Like
reason, right?
Nate's epic on there, and I tell people it's like, no, what the intro, Dre Day, Let Me Ride,
G Thing's
nothing
that.
but
No,
like
no,
that's
no,
to
no,
pull
no.
you in.
What was
But
it? The day niggas damn, what's
the
the
day the
fuck?
niggas took over.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But Mike, I tell people, these nuts and Little Ghetto Boy is where the Chronic turns into a classic right in front of you.
No, for real. Real shit.
That's where it turns into a classic right there because you got to look at the first. Because Little Ghetto Boy is the track right after it, Mike. It's literally in between Nothing But a G Thing and Little Ghetto Boy. And after you listen to Nothing But a G Thing and the songs that come before, and then you get to These Nuts and you hear that beat, and then you hear how they get with it with Little Ghetto Boy, you like, this is some of the best rap shit
No,
ever.
you're right. You're right.
Yeah.
Because when these nuts fades out and the way it is, and then get a little ghetto boy comes
Because
in
you
the
can't
way it
think, no,
does.
Mike, because Mike, if you go from track 1 to 6 on the Chronic, you're like, can't nobody get no higher than that. And then Little Ghetto Boys plays, and you're like, this is
You know,
one of the best.
for years and years and years, I've always said "Little Ghetto Boy" is that X Factor record that
It is.
I
No, Mike,
put.
it has been.
I mean,
Those two records,
when it
Mike,
comes to
track 6 is
comparing the Chronic to 2001 or comparing it to Doggy Style, for me, I've always said "Little
Little
Ghetto Boy"
Ghetto
is
Boy,
that
Mike.
X Factor record where it's like
No,
it's
Mike.
nothing on those other two albums that's like that.
And it feels so real.
Yeah, and
It feels so
even
real.
Dre's part,
Mike,
like Dre is
jumped out my bed.
believable. Dre is believable on the Chronic.
With my homie Lil Half Dead. Murder was the case that they gave me.
Dear
Dear God, I
God.
wonder can you save me? Yeah, that
What
shit
is
feels
Puffy
real.
thinking? I'm sorry, man. What is Puffy
Mike,
thinking?
Mike, Mike, I don't know what he was thinking,
I don't know
but
what
he
he's
go
thinking, man.
listen to the Chronic and go listen to Doggy Style.
Listen, man, and I say this
You don't stand
respectfully,
a
man, and
chance.
you know how I feel
You
about
don't
Kanye.
stand a
I
chance.
think Kanye West is the only one that could stand it. I mean, when you talk about that soul and being able to have records that could grip you in that way,
Mike,
I, and I don't even think he could win that, but I think he would stand the best chance. He could come with some gripping shit, but Puff
Mike,
doesn't stand a
there's Mike,
chance.
Mike. All jokes aside, there's 11 records between those two albums. You losing every time. It's gonna be 11-9. Like even if who, it's gonna be 11-9. Like you losing. You're
It's
not gonna win, Mike. You're not gonna no. You're
it's
not gonna win,
remarkable, man.
Mike. Mike. Hold on. Let's. We got
It's
a little time.
remarkable.
What time is it?
This
What time
wasn't
is it?
part of the
2 minutes.
plan for the people who are watching the show.
Mike.
We didn't even plan to talk about the chronic doggy style or whatever. But you know what,
Mike.
man?
It's
If
Gray Day. Let me ride. The day the niggas took over. That's not even gonna make the list, Mike. We're gonna scratch that out.
Oh, what do you think about RZA though? Don just brought up a good one. What if RZA went against Dre? Does he have something that goes with it?
Hold on. First of all, Don, you're not gonna take my shit. For almost a year and a half, I've been saying the only person who has any real smoke for Dr. Dre is who, Mike? How many times have I come on live and said this?
RZA, yeah. I mean, listen, if somebody asked me like my favorite hip hop beats,
And Mike,
like
I want people to understand this. In order for RZA to beat Dr. Dre, he has to play it perfectly.
yeah, he does.
Like he has to play Cream, Shadow Boxing, Ice
Ice
Cream,
cream,
like
incarcerated Scarfaces.
faces. Bring the pain. Mike, I don't care what you say. We all know True Master made Brooklyn Zoo. He's not winning if he doesn't play Brooklyn Zoo.
He needs
That's what I'm
Brooklyn
telling you.
Zoo.
That's how
But
serious
nah,
it is. It's like, no. That's Wu-Tang.
nah, man, he didn't make Brooklyn Zoo. He can't use it. He's gonna have to use Shimmy Shimmy though, at least. You know.
Mike, Shimmy Shimmy Ya is already on the list. I've already given you the list that he needs to beat Dr. Dre. Everybody knows. You need to go back and check our podcast, Don. You need to see the list. I got the only hip hop list ever that's gonna beat Dr. Dre in the verses. Let me tell you who's not winning in the verses Dr. Dre. Puffy. Not with yet. Nothing.
Listen, man, I don't. Yeah, it's like I said, man. When I was riding the D's nuts, I was like, "What is Puffy gonna play for something like?" You can't even play a Biggie record after that, to be honest.
I mean, Mike, and keep in mind, if he's doing it with Dre, we talking about this stuff from the Chronic and Doggy Style. Like, Mike, what happens when he plays like the Formula and it's funky enough from DLC?
Well, I was just about to say that with your visit.
Mike, Mike, every beat on Niggas for Life is hard. Have niggas heard Niggas for Life recently?
Niggas for Life is crazy.
Hold on. Niggas for Life is why Suge Knight was like willing to like murder anybody like associating with Dr. Dre. Like he heard those beats, he was like, no, we need that guy.
Niggas for Life is the Chronic before the Chronic, to be honest.
Mike,
production wise.
No, Mike, the only thing that's wrong with the beats on Niggas for Life is that you can tell that he's still working on like he's not in the studio that Jimmy Iovine was sitting in when he made Born to Run with Bruce Springsteen. Suge Knight put him in front of that board and he made the Chronic with Snoop Dogg.
Can you imagine Death Certificate Ice Cube being on Niggas for Life?
Mike.
Can you imagine that? No, for real. Can you imagine Death Certificate Ice Cube on Niggas for Life?
Any version of Ice Cube on Niggas for Life prior to 1998 makes that an arguable greatest rap album of all time candidate.
I mean, I feel you, but we're talking about Death Certificate Cube. In my opinion, the best Cube that you go get.
America's Mike. No, I don't think you understand. America's Predator. That's Lethal. Mike, any of those, like that guy on that album, like, yeah, you can go and call that shit a rap. Because here's the reality of the matter, Mike. More than anything else, the beats on Niggas for Life are tailored for Ice Cube more than anybody else.
Ice Cube is ripping shit.
It's almost like, no, Mike. It's almost like he's making the beats like, I'm going to show you, I'm going to make all these beats that you would love to rap over.
I mean, Ice Cube on Death Certificate, that nigga is going in. I think that's Cube at his best, in my opinion. I know a lot of people go with America's Most, but true to the game.
He's his most powerful on his America's Most, but has a total MC Death Certificate. But Mike, any iteration of that guy, that's what I'm saying. Any iteration of that guy before 1998 on those beats.
I want to hear Wrong Nigga to Fuck With Cube on Niggas Don't Die. Real Niggas Don't Die. Like, what's going on, man?
Mike, no, I'm telling you the record that he would have smashed, Mike, Appetite for Destruction.
I was just about to say that.
That's the record. When I hear that beat come on, it's like, oh, that's the first record they made when they realized that nigga left. He like, fuck this nigga.
Yeah. Yep. Somebody just said exactly what you said. Cube on Appetite for Destruction.
Mike, it's almost like
100 Miles and Running.
Mike, when I hear that beat, it's like, no, that's the first beat Dre made when he realized that Cube was gone. He was like, I'm gonna make some shit to bring this nigga back.
Yeah, I think if Cube in '92 is on Niggas for Life, that's possibly the greatest hip hop album ever made.
No, Mike, how about this? What's the best gangster rap album ever?
It's a good question.
Because most people consider it to be Straight Outta Compton.
Is it Straight Outta Compton? What y'all say in the chat? The greatest gangster rap album ever.
Me personally, I say The Diary by Scarface.
Okay. What makes it? All right, let's define the gangster rap album, though. What are you defining that by?
I just want to say this and give it a caveat before they say this. I think The Diary is the greatest gangster rap album ever. But if Ice Cube is on Niggas for Life, it's not even a conversation. That's how, it's like that.
What makes something a gangster rap album? Because I'm really, really high on Death Certificate, personally.
Mike, I would put Death Certificate. Immediately, I thought Criminal Minded. because I've been listening to it recently. Straight Outta Compton, Niggas for Life. I thought about, because here's the thing: America's Most is more socioeconomic and political to me than it is gangster. Death Certificate's a gangster rap album, so I think about Death Certificate, think about The Chronic, think about Doggy Style.
Oh, if Doggy Style counts, then it's Doggy Style.
Yeah, Doggy Style. Let's not count Doggy Style.
If the
It's like,
Chronic and Doggy Style are in the conversation,
you know, that's what you want to know. What Doggy Style is just like what we all want gangster rap to sound like forever.
You know what? Yeah, I think the greatest gangster rap album ever is The Chronic. Then I think that The Chronic's more gangster rap than Doggy Style, or Doggy Style is more of a gangster party, if that makes any sense.
No. The Chronic has more of the makings of a gangster rap album than Doggy Style, definitely, but it's still like done up. I like The Diary more, like because like how about this? Like the perspective. How about this? Face don't have the money or the play that they're even talking about at the level that they're at on The Chronic. Like he got a line on G's where he talking about, I lost more niggas in my hood than the motherfucking Bengals lost last year. You know what I mean?
We got Spice One in the chat, man.
Mike, when he said that the Bengals was losing like 12, 13 games, like, you know what I mean? He was like, no, I done lost more homies in my hood than the Bengals done lost games this year. It's like, oh, that's a lot of niggas.
We got Spice One in there. I remember hearing Spice One's self-titled album. That was some gangster rap shit.
You want to know what's that MC8 shit, Mike? What's We Stay Strapped?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about Compton's Most Wanted though? Yep. Somebody just said that in the chat.
Hold on, that's the name of the album. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah. I think I'm talking about the Compton's Most Wanted album. Yeah.
Coming Out Hard. I like. Listen, Coming Out Hard, man, holds a place in my
better
heart.
Than The Diary or The Chronic.
I love Coming Out Hard. Coming Out Hard is one of those albums that I will admit it's not better than a certain album, but it's different, man. Like Coming Out Hard sounds like they recorded that shit in their living room, man.
Oh, because they probably recorded in the living room, in the bathroom.
And it's so influential, man. It's like the whole Memphis sound.
It's just not better than Riding Dirty, no matter what you say. It's not better than Riding Dirty, no matter what you say.
Nah, I disagree with you. That album's better than Riding Dirty. And I fuck with UGK. I actually like UGK more than I like 8 Ball and MJG.
This is crazy that we're talking about this. I like 8 Ball and MJG more than I like UGK, but I shouldn't have to explain this to you. Riding Dirty is better than Coming Out Hard.
You know, I was just listening to In My Lifetime. Isn't that what it's called? Not In My Lifetime, but the one that had Don't Flex and the song with Outkast, the 8 Ball and MJG album.
Put Your Hands? No. That is In My Lifetime, Volume 1 or something like that.
Yeah, it's like, I know it was Lifetime something, but yeah. Man, Dre and Big Boy killed that shit. 8 Ball and MJG killed that shit. It was amazing. That was an incredible collaboration that we don't talk about enough.
That's one of the most underrated and understated posse cuts ever, to Put Your Hands Up. Because that was like the bonus track at the end of the album, or it was like the last track.
It was like one of the last ones. You know, because Organized Noise and... actually, I think it was Mr. DJ did a few songs on there, because CeeLo's on the album too. But yeah, man, when not 8 Ball, when MJG come in there, I got a maid cooking grits with a outfit so tight, my niggas want to stay the whole night. Dice game in the kitchen, nigga. TV, nigga drunk, nigga sounding like the BG's ham sandwich in the driveway. Listen, man, and then Big Boy
MJG spit game crazy. Yeah.
Listen, MJG is the most underrated Southern MC of all time.
Easy.
Unless we're going to count CeeLo in this conversation, but he's underrated for different reasons.
He's not underrated, but here's what I was about to tell you, and it's funny that you're even bringing up the underrated part, because you want to know what my big takeaway from everything that we talked about is and what I listened to today. KRS-One is becoming the most underrated MC of all time, Mike.
I think
he's a big takeaway.
You know what? Just like what I said about Prince Paul earlier, I think when we were online together, when we were on the phone, I think that underappreciated fits that more than underrated. I don't know if KRS is underrated. People who know. I think that we just don't appreciate everything that this man has done and his greatness.
No, Mike, that's why I was kind of running down everything the way that I was, because I told you it's like while we're on this format, we need to be taking the time to kind of like educate when we can. Yeah. Prince Paul is underappreciated. And when I say he's underappreciated, Mike, and you already know this, I can go give you about 5 to 7 producers from his era that are comparable to him right now. You feel me?
You think so?
Q-Tip,
Yeah.
Pete, Primo. Correct
But
me if
are
I'm
they
wrong.
his era though?
No. That's
Because
his
they're
era.
more so early. Well, he's more so late '80s, early '90s, and after Balloon Mind
So,
State.
so when is Gangstar and Tribe Called Quest coming out and making projects, Mike?
No, I give you Tribe, but I think Premier's. I think
No,
Premier's.
Preem got credits, Mike. Preem got credits going from '88.
He does, but I think Premier's prime is more so mid to late '90s. Would you not agree to that?
Gangstar's for and hold on, and Prince Paul was still Mike. You just played Macalicious. When did that come out? Like,
Well,
was
that
that
was Prince
97?
Paul's solo album. That was '98.
97, 98. So
Yeah.
you pulling something for Kane versus and pulling Prince Paul from 98. So you can't skip Preem in 93, 94, 95, 96, 97. That's not fair.
I think
That's
Preem is
what I'm saying.
incredible, but I think Preem's placements really helped where he's at. And you're right though, but let's keep it real. We just talked about RZA. RZA and Prince
Hold on.
Paul were in a group together. Who produced that album?
Prince
Who?
Paul.
Yes. Who stepped to the side and said, "Yo, Prince Paul, you got this out."
Who was busy making other classic projects for the greatest rap group ever, arguably. That's all I'm saying, Mike. It's easy to say that, but it's like, Mike, I'd like to introduce you to a few albums again. No, Mike, since you want to do that, I'd like to.
I'm just saying, when Prince Paul and RZA are in a group together,
Enter the Wu-Tang, to Cal, Return to the 36 Chambers, Only Built for Cuban Links, Iron Man, Liquid Swords, Wu-Tang Forever, and he literally did 97% of the production on all of those projects.
nah,
Prince
man, listen,
should have been.
I would never front on
Mike,
RZA.
it's the greatest run of beats ever. So somebody else should have been taking on the. I don't even believe we're having this conversation.
No. What I'm saying is, as great as what you just talking about, RZA is incredible. We know how incredible RZA is. RZA's in a group with Prince Paul. Prince Paul's great enough where he's the one producing the whole thing. You know what I'm saying? Can you imagine anybody?
I'm not saying he's not great.
Yeah.
Mike, 45 King.
What
Marley
you're saying
Marl.
is.
No, Mike, you asked me to give you some guys. 45 King and Marley Marl.
Of course. Now, yeah. Now, those are people I would say who are in his era.
Mike,
Well, you know what?
Finesse. Mike, Lord Finesse, Buckwild.
They're dope. They're not Prince Paul.
Mike,
Molly Mall is.
No, Mike. I just gave you a whole slew of guys that are comparable to him. Mike, when you talk about comparable to KRS, it's like
It's not a lot.
Mike, Rakim, Kane, G-Rap, out.
No, you're right.
So Prince Paul, not KRS. And I love Prince Paul, but that's what I'm saying. There's levels to this shit. And when I'm telling you KRS is underrated, he doesn't get spoken of still. Like he's operating at that highest level. Because really what's happened, and here's what I was bringing up about how he had 2 separate careers with the boom bap. Well, Mike, he's really the only one of all those great MCs from his era to have 2 separate careers. The rest of those guys had 1 career and a comeback. He had 2 whole careers.
Well, if you're not counting LL Cool J, and once again, that's why I think they were the best matchup for one another.
No, Mike, you want to know? No. That's a misgiving by me because I kind of just like discount LL because LL survived like 4 eras. But in terms of the guys who are considered to be greatest MC of all time as lyricists, like the category that he's considering them as an MC, Mike, Rakim came back in 97. G-Rap came back in 95. Kane came back in 98. KRS-One never came back because he never really left.
No.
And he precedes all of them.
Yeah.
And so when you put all of that together, that's understated and underrated. And when you pull up the songs, Mike, when I was looking at the stuff I wasn't picking, Mike, I was like, this is a whole Rick Ross situation. I got a whole nother 20 for Mike off Chris.
Well, why do you think that KRS is underrated? Like, why do you think that he is?
Because the only MC from his era that has transcendent breaking hits that have transcended generations really is Rakim on the lyrical level and LL Cool J on the hit-making level, and he's actually somewhere in the middle. Like a lyricist, the caliber of Rakim, but not quite Rakim, and has made hit records, but definitely nothing like LL, so lost in the shuffle and therefore underrated, but never left. and the
You
best
know,
stage performer of all time.
you know what? Somebody brought up something in the chat. Brian Blinker said KRS started saying only he is hip hop, and that's what happened. You know what? To expand
So his
upon that,
arrogance could have something to do with it.
I was gonna expand a little bit further than that. I think that he closed himself in a certain box where it's like this is what hip hop is and nothing outside of that is, and it's like you're just stuck making that while everybody else is doing everything.
So
And
Mike,
that
you might
could be
be
why,
Mike. What did I tell you in the car earlier when I called you? I was like, yo, I was like, KRS don't fuck with nobody major. Didn't I tell you that?
yeah, he's consistently done that.
It shows in his catalog. But what I'm saying is that
Would KRS make a song with Mobb Deep? I mean, because Rakim's done that. You know what I'm saying? And we've seen Big Daddy Kane kind of stretch with a whole bunch of different people. But
Mike,
it's
Mike,
like, I think it's that. But would KRS consider what Mobb Deep was doing in '95 hip hop?
So KRS has a message and a purpose with it. So I don't
Mm-hmm.
totally know, but on the basis of a hip hop level, yeah, he would do it just like Rakim did it. Rakim did it in '97, I think, for the Hoodlum soundtrack, if I'm not
Right,
mistaken.
right. And
That's
that
what
was
I'm
the
talking about.
first time Rakim had ever collaborated with anybody in rap, I think.
First of all, knew where to go. Knew where to go.
Yeah.
All I gotta say. He knew
Well,
where
you
to
know
go.
what?
He
There's
went for
one
the real.
song
I
that I
told you,
wish
it's
he
like he
was
loves
on.
Prodigy. He loves Raekwon. He likes that street New York stuff. So, but what I'm saying is that even when you say that, Mike, listen to all the things that I said about KRS. Like I'm saying things about KRS that you can't say about Black Thought, that you can't say about Kendrick, that you can't say about Wayne. You know that you. It's a lot of guys you can't say these things about. Like he's high. He's up there high, Mike.
I think we're gonna have to get off of this Kendrick train so much, man. I just, I mean, we're talking about all the work that people have put in from KRS to people like Jadakiss. We're talking about over
Like I
spans of
told you, Mike,
time.
like if we keep it big and Pac on a top 10 list, it's a whole problem for people. You're not gonna sit up there and bring me somebody that got what KRS got. It's like, oh, you got 3, 4 dope albums in a group setting, and then another 3, 4 dope albums as a solo artist with like 2 or 3 classics in between, and like 40 songs of like classic hip hop material.
You know what? To kind of, and I don't want to go off on a tangent or anything, but you were just talking about comebacks, and you made a really good point. Do we consider Kendrick's next album a comeback? The game
Ooh,
has changed. It's been 5 years because he's not dropping to 2022. Is this a comeback album?
you want to know what we've been talking about a lot this year? We've been talking about 2 things. And it's the Black Thought verse. We've been talking about, ain't it strange how the newspapers play with the language? So a lot of that has to do with what the media does with Kendrick, because he's going to get the type of media and press coverage that most hip hop artists don't get, that is going to craft a certain narrative.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see if they craft the narrative like a comeback, like they tried to do that bullshit for Jay in '98 when he released a platinum album the year before. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We're going to see how it gets framed. That's what we've been talking about this year, Mike. We've been talking about the craft and we've been talking about the media.
Yeah.
We've been talking about practice in the media. We've been talking about dudes that's into their craft and not, and you can tell. And we've been talking about how the media narrates like the story in the past and the present and what they're going to do next with it. And that includes us, I guess, to a degree.
Well, I guess
how is the media, to wrap it up.
How is the media gonna frame this new Kendrick album, and how should they? I mean, I honestly feel like it should be framed as a comeback album.
No, Mike, that's what I'm telling you is
Yeah.
that everything happens so fast now that we gonna have to wait to see the frame. Like I know what we're gonna do at According to Hip Hop. We're gonna rate it for what it's worth when it comes out. We're not rating it like a comeback because everybody's been speaking. Like I've had people personally close to me that have known me for a long time be like, "Hey," stop. And a few people been like, "Hey, stop being so hard on Kendrick. Like he's still here. He still got it."
Is
And I'm
he?
like, "Oh." And no, Mike, and I just keep telling him, it's like, well, as long as he bring it, we cool.
Listen,
And
I'm the one that's been hard on Kendrick.
no, Mike, if he brings it and it's fire like it's always been, I'm gonna sit up here and I'm gonna be like, hey, worth the wait. I'd like to apologize for talking about how long you made me wait. Like I'll be the first person to apologize and like say that I'm wrong, but the reality is for how the culture moves. I mean, Mike, think about this. When we realize how how great KD2 was, Mike. You hit me up about writing the article that night and dropping it that night. Tell me I'm wrong.
No, no, that's real. Gray 80 says comeback to me means returning from critical acclaim after a dud. Returning with critical acclaim after a dud, not a long layover.
See, but not even
Huh?
that. But Mike, even with the layover, what I'm saying, how about this? De La Soul never made anything bad and took a whole layover, and people called it a comeback, didn't it?
Yeah, yeah. I think
Well,
when you've been
so
missing
you
for
don't
a
have to make
long
a dud for it to
time,
be called a comeback. That happened to De La when Stakes is High came out. People was like, "Oh, De La's back. It's a comeback." I'm like, well, really, they ain't really dropped a bad project yet, but like I guess it's a comeback because we ain't heard from him in a minute. Like
Stakes
I
is
don't
High
know. I'm
was
young. I'm young. I don't know how to frame it. I'm gonna let the source frame it for me and hand these niggas 4 mics. Okay.
well, Stakes is High was 96, and they came back with the other joint in 2000, right? The one with when that
Artificial intelligence.
artificial intelligence, yeah, because they did
Yeah.
like 2 volumes of that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's 4 years. We're on 5 years with Kendrick, and not a regular 5 years. We're on a 5 years where artists have had whole many careers since he's dropped
You
last.
see, well, here's the thing. It's show and go time, is what I'm saying, and
Hmm.
so part of the frame is also going to be how we frame it, Mike. I'm gonna frame it like I'm gonna rate the album. I'm gonna rate the album because according to hip hop, supposed to be for the people, right? We for the people.
Oh yeah, definitely, man. You know what I'm saying?
People been
And
saying he's still
that's
on
why we're
top of
talking to
King.
the people in the
Mike, no,
chat
no,
as
no,
we
no, no,
go.
no, 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 Mike. There's two sides to the coin. It's like people been rating it like he ain't never left and like he's king. And guess how this project's gonna get rated when it drops by according to hip hop. It's
Yeah.
gonna get
Oh no
rated.
no no no
It's
no.
gonna get rated. It's gonna get rated like he's king and
Yeah.
he's never left. Because I'm gonna be honest with you, Mike. And I told you this when I heard KD2. I was like, "This is so great to me, and I'm such a Nas fan. I don't even know how to rate this. I need you to tell me how you feel about it." And you're like, "No, it's a great project." And that's when I was like, "Okay, I'm
Well,
not
listen.
sure." Because I'm rating him up against the highest standards.
Kendrick is going to get rated on the highest standard because he's smoking on everybody's top five. He's
No,
this and
Mike.
that.
He's getting
And
rated on the highest standard based on his catalog.
yes, no, no, I was gonna go there. He's smoking on your top five. His catalog is what it is, and he's at the peak of his career. So I don't think there is a level that we're gonna have to. I mean, we're gonna have to rate it on the highest level. It
Yeah,
just is
no,
what
you're
it
right.
is. You're coming
No,
off of Damn. You're coming off of To Pimp a Butterfly. You're coming off of Good Kid, Mad City, and you're at the prime of your career supposedly, and you're smoking on top fives. I mean,
no,
and
Mike.
you had 5 years to make this, and you had five
No,
years to make this.
no. This is we gonna keep on going back to this Dre shit on Rosa Parks. Said, "Baby boy, you're only funky as your last cut. You focus on the past, your ass to be a has what. That's words to live by, or either that's ones to die to."
I think that's where
So
Kendrick is in his career at
no,
this point.
Mike. So I'm saying that to say is that since Damn has came out, there have been albums that are comparable or better than Damn that came out.
Oh, definitely.
And if he's the greatest of this era, he needs to make something comparable to Damn or better because that's what he's done every time. So we holding him to that standard.
I don't even think Damn's good
Else.
enough at this
Really,
point.
and at this point, we really just need to like let his music speak for itself like it always did.
It always has. And him putting out press releases, I don't feel like it's a good sign.
Well, that's what I'm saying. No, Mike. It's October. We know that something coming. We out of talking mode. We out of speculation mode. It's like, what you got for me? Show me the baby.
He's on the Super Bowl lineup, so it is what it is.
Show me the baby. That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. It's like, oh no. All this rhetoric and all this talk we've been doing all these years. Oh, that shit's officially over. It's game time, Mike. Like preseason over. Ain't the preseason about to end? Ain't it time to hoop? It's time to hoop.
Before we get up out of here, were you impressed by his 2 appearances on Baby Kim's album?
Fairly, but when you're saying impressed, I never rate him by his guest appearances. He doesn't do them often, and it's never been his best shit. When have you had a guest appearance from him when you're like, oh, that was epic? He don't have no verbal intercourse. He don't have no big like Get Money remix verse. Like he doesn't have that anyway, so I'm not expecting that from him. That's really not his lane.
Brian Blinker said Black Panther, the album, is his last album. How many songs on there was he on?
He's on like 3 or 4 tracks.
Come on, man. Come on now. We can't start doing
He might be on 5,
that.
Mike, but he doesn't have a solo record on
I
there.
didn't think he did, man. I mean, I kind of skimmed through that album, man, and yeah, come on, man.
Let's hope we get some records next week, Mike. What you think? Conway next week, Nas next week. Ooh, ooh,
What they're
ooh.
saying, Nas. People are saying Nas is dropping on the 14th. We'll know soon enough.
Hey, you want to know it? Here's what he's done. If he really is dropping on the 14th, he officially just pushed niggas shit back. What is this old ass rapper doing?
What is going on with Nas, man?
What is going on?
Speaking of which,
Because when no, Mike, I'm gonna tell you what I did right quick, and we need to leave on this note. When I heard that, I was like, okay, so who else coming out? It's like I know they're not gonna let him apply pressure like this again, and it's like, oh yes, they are.
so if Nas drops
Somebody,
next week, he's dropped 5 projects since Kendrick's dropped his last one. Are we serious?
no, Mike, we're gonna let the music speak. That's what I'm saying. Because right now, Nas is the artist of the year too.
Oh yeah, and if he drops 2 in a year, man,
Mike, if he drops something that's comparable to King's Disease 1, not 2, if he drops something comparable to King's Disease 1, this is over.
yeah. Miss Mo said, "I'm sorry, Kendrick is dope, but he ain't doing nothing iconic to me. That hasn't been done yet." Yeah, I said it.
No. That's what I'm saying. We're not going to keep on having these conversations. We're going to let him do what it needs to do. You're not even about to bait us this late.
All right. Well, we're going to see what drops next week, man. Y'all have a great weekend, and hopefully we get a new Nas effort. Appreciate everybody's participation in this Kane versus KRS preview. And, yeah, I'm really surprised that it ended up 10-10, but I think
Mike,
I got
people
Kane.
not going to rate it that way. When we go back in the chat, the people not going to rate it that way. You lost.
All right, man. I'm going to holler at you.